So let's go. I'm Leah. This is David. Split seconds.
Honey.
It's fun. It's fast. Put your questions in the chat and let's go. David.
Great. So I wanted to start by putting Google Analytics into context within the Split universe. So Split famously has the best feature flags that you can find anywhere, but we are in fact more than just feature flagging. We're a feature delivery platform. And if you haven't seen this slide before, it actually is nice to set the stage for Google Analytics because Split will capture impressions, we call them, the record of who got the feature, when and what, to set you up for experimentation, to set you up for alerting. But we do need event data as well, things like the behavior of the user or the experience of the user. And a lot of that is already captured at many of our customers by Google Analytics. So that's what I'm going to focus on. We have this really nice Google Analytics integration that will take that event data from Google Analytics and push it into Split. So how does it work? So I put together a very special demonstration for you this morning. We've got the flower shot. No more dogs, if you saw dynamic config.
Flower shop right here. I don't know if many people do.
Yeah, that's right. We've got flowers to sell. So this is a basic, it's not even an application. It's just a couple of screens I put together and instrumented with Google Analytics and also, of course, Split. The entry to the shop is this beautiful little rose here. And when you come in on this page, you actually get one of two different possibilities. One is the bird of paradise that you see here. If we come back to the rose and go in again, a second customer might come in and see the cherry blossoms. So the first thing that I want to show you, I want to make sure you see yourself that Google Analytics is set up here. And in particular, if I'm a customer and I'm excited, I see those cherry blossoms and I want the 40% off, when I click on the 40% off, on the right-hand side of my screen, watch what happens. This is the Google Analytics real-time interface. So I just made a bajillion clicks, that's a technical term. And each of those clicks is now registering in that real-time chart, and they're slowly trying to, if I just give it one or two more clicks again, we'll see another small spike come into the window. So the first thing to see is that Google Analytics is in fact getting traffic from this flower shop, right? Now, if I come to Split using the new Data Hub feature, you can see all of those clicks. Those have arrived in Split now as event data. In this case, they're purchase events. So if I pause a bit and I look inside these events, we can see there's some information about the fact that it was a category purchase click and that it was a purchase of cherry blossoms. That's going to figure in a little bit later. So what about the Split that actually did this? So if I come to my Split for the Google Analytics promotion here, you can see that I've got on one hand cherry blossoms and on the other hand the birds of paradise. And I use dynamic config. So for those of you that were at the last session, I could swap out images and change the text around them if I wanted to. But here I'm giving half the users the cherry blossoms and half the users the birds of paradise, right? I also have an impressions flow as a result. So when the user went to those different pages, this user got the cherry blossoms, so they're logged as such, and this user got the birds of paradise. Now, before this presentation, I went and did a whole boatload of clicking. Actually, I automated the clicking because it would have been way too much to do myself. But if I come to my metrics impact dialog, and we're going through some pretty big features of Split here, but I want to show you that I ran an experiment where 823 users got the cherry blossoms and 831 users got the birds of paradise. And in comparing those two, it looks like the logins actually increased with the cherry blossoms, an unexpected result. So Split is telling me that with a p-value of 2%, that is a statistically significant value. We saw a change to this login metric. We did not, however, see the changes that we wanted to see on some of the other metrics. To show you how the metrics were set up from GA, I can view the metric. If you've never set up a metric, it's pretty straightforward. You're deciding, should it go up or should it go down? I wanted logins to increase, kind of a funnel style. I counted them. We could have done averages for things like latencies or dollar sums. And here's the click. And then here I used splits event filtering to say, I wanted clicks that were home page clicks and login clicks to filter. So this is what set up that tile for me to enjoy for my experiment. I can also put an alert on this and say, hey, if logins drop by more than 10% or drop by more than 20%, say in my production environment, I want to get an alert about it to tell me that maybe I need to roll back that split. So just some feature delivery platform type functionality. So at this point, you might want to see a little bit about like what actually needs to happen at the JavaScript. So I have that prepared for you. We can come to JavaScript, and the first thing I'll show you is that on my promo page, I'm including the boilerplate Google Analytics. For anybody that's implemented Google Analytics, this probably will look pretty familiar. There's variations on this, but this is the one that I use on this page. And then down below, when I set up split, this is where I'm actually creating the factory for the JavaScript client. Here's the configuration that I'm filling in. I'm adding this integrations config to say Google Analytics to split. It's worth noting that the Google Analytics integration is bi-directional. If you want to send split impressions to Google, you can also set it up right here. The second thing that I do is I require this split tracker. So this is what actually, the tracker is a concept from GA. We created a split tracker to send the events to split on your behalf. So this is required as well. And I also have a React example. React is very popular right now. We found customers are using this React GA plugin. So you can initialize your GA plugin this way. And here's how you do the split tracker require. And this will enable a React application with GA events in it. It'll work the same as well. You can do the same kind of logging of events, clicking on things. Those are all possible with React. This is a good time to take some questions if there are any questions about what you see, maybe the JavaScript I'm showing or one of the concepts I showed earlier.
Don't have any questions yet in the chat about that, but do you want to, is there documentation about this? Maybe?
Yes, thank you for reminding me to pull that up. So if you are not already familiar with help.split.io, it's a beautiful site to get to know. And on the left-hand panel, you can find your way to SDK documentation. There's all kinds of good stuff. For today, what's in focus is Google Analytics. If we come to the Google Analytics documentation, you'll notice that there's an example of setting up the split tracker, right, with the GA API. And there's an example of setting up the integrations inside the split SDK config. There's more in here too. So I don't have rich demonstrations of this prepared today. Maybe that's for an advanced split seconds later, but you can filter your GA events and you can map GA events to split events with some configuration also set up with GA. So it's not just the straight mapping that we saw for the defaults. You can actually do much richer stuff with how you're reporting those GA events into split.
Yeah, what you've shown today is just kind of really just scratching the surface of everything that you're able to do. Super simple though. If you want to go back to the install again for React and JavaScript, just so people can see how easy it is just to install right here, again, on our documentation. And then the other thing, I think someone was curious about the dynamic configs that we sort of breezed over. So David and I did another split seconds on dynamic configs. What I'll do is I'll just send the video to that split seconds on dynamic configs out to everyone who attends, because it's a quick, fun watch, but really also pretty fun to watch as well. So, and now you're just gonna, okay, they're gonna show a little bit of that there. And just for the record, we do not actually sell flowers. And then for the record, the other technical term, bajillion, is Perhaps not a technical term, in fact.
But the flower pictures are pictures I've taken, so we have the rights to use them. We got that going for us.
We got that going. Great. Any other questions from our audience? All right. Anything about the t-shirt? No? Okay. Yeah, just send an email, you'll get a t-shirt. But yeah, thanks, David. This was super succinct, and that's how we like to keep it at split seconds. So if there are not any questions, we will send all the good stuff, links to the documentation, dynamic configs, and maybe a link to this video. And yeah, thanks, Vincent. Nice and short and straightforward.
Cool.
All right. Everyone have a great day. Thanks for stopping by. And that's Split Seconds.